What's up, everybody? So today I'm reacting to 10 most insane weapons in the world. This is by a YouTube channel called Interesting Facts. I will leave a link down below to the original video. Please go and share, send them some love and like the video and subscribe to them and all that good stuff. Go and share some love. But before we get started, as per usual, I want to give a shout out to all these amazing people. These are my members. Guys, if it wasn't for these people, I wouldn't be making videos every single day. So thank you, thank you, thank you. I really do appreciate it. If you want to become a member, there's a little join button next to the subscribe button down below. Go and check that out. And if you're a member and you're not part of Discord yet, link down below. Down there you'll find a link to all of my new socials, Twitch, which I'll be streaming Mondays, Wednesdays and Fridays. Go and check that out. Instagram and Twitter, which now have new handles, so you kind of align better with the channel. It's just originalhuman_. Somebody already took originalhuman. Kind of mad at that. But both Instagram and Twitter are now originalhuman_. Make sure you go and give me a follow on that. Down below, you'll also find website merch and a bunch of other cool stuff. Go and check that out down below. So yeah, we'll get into this video. But before we start, check out this t-shirt. I was sent this by an Instagram account who is run by a former Royal Marines commando. It's called Valhalla Company. Really cool. The back of it has like an image of a skull, and then it says Royal underneath for Royal Marines. Go and check out the imagery. It's amazing. Go and check out the Twitter. I'll leave a link down below. Sorry, not the Twitter, the Instagram. I'll leave a link down below. Go and check them out, guys. They're amazing. They're doing some incredible work over there. And it's a former Royal Marine, so send them some love and go and say hi. So I'll shut up now. And we'll get this video started, shall we? Let me just move over to the side so you can't see me big head. So you can see me big head. Guys, I'm all over the place today. I'm all over the place. Okay, let's go. 13 minutes.
Since the dawn of warfare, man has always strived to invent the perfect weapon to defeat his enemies. And it really is amazing how far we've come since then, with some organizations inventing some unreal weapons.
Wait, go back. What's that on their heads? What was that on their heads?
Unreal.
Interesting. Is that like some sort of way of quickly camouflaging a helmet? I've never seen that before. I wonder what that is. If you know what that is, leave a comment down below. I'd like to know.
Weapons. From a fully automatic 12-gauge shotgun to a crazy gun that fires over 1 million rounds per minute. Check out these 10 insane military technologies.
Wow. That's crazy.
Auto Assault 12. The AA-12 Auto Assault shotgun is one of the rarest and most sought-after shotguns in the world. It was originally developed by Maxwell Acheson during his time at Military Armaments Corporation in the early 70s. Production rights were then sold to Jerry Baber of Military Police Systems in 1987, who released his improved model in 2004, and a year later it entered production after having no less than 200 changes and improvements over the original blueprint. The AA-12 is a fully automatic gas-operated API blowback shotgun chambered for 2 3/4-inch 12-gauge shells, including...
One second. Look at this guy. He's not even looking at where he's shooting. That's bad drills, guys. That's bad drills.
API blowback shotgun chambered for 2 3/4-inch 12-gauge shells, including buckshot, flares, slugs, stun batons, and high-explosive Frag-12 grenade round.
What is that? What is that? Interesting.
It can use 2 types of magazines, a detachable 8-round box magazine or a drum with capacity ranging from 20 to 32 rounds. Okay. It has a cyclic rate of 300 rounds per minute with a muzzle velocity of 1,050 feet per second. The slow rate of fire makes single shots or bursts very easy to achieve by briefly pulling the trigger, despite the fact that it fires in full auto only. Expanding bullet. It's interesting to know that even war has rules when it comes to using certain kinds of ammunition. During the First World War, German newspapers began accusing the French, along with mythical Belgian free shooters, of using what was called dum-dum or expanding bullets. An official German complaint showed that the British were issuing this ammunition to its army. The bullet, a .455 Mk4 round, was a flat-nosed, unjacketed man-stopper type of ammunition.
Interesting.
It was quickly withdrawn from frontline service because it was outlawed by the 1907 Hague Convention because they could cause terrible wounds and
They certainly can. I'm pretty sure it's against the Geneva Convention to use certain rounds like this. I'm not 100% accurate on that. Obviously, we only got issued one type of ammo in the military. But them things are dangerous. They can rip people apart very easily.
Necessary suffering. It was the Indian Army that developed the hollow-nose expanding bullet in Dum Dum, an industrial municipality outside of Calcutta and where the round got its name from. Bullets with pointed tips were then designed for use in the early 1900s to improve ballistic performance, but these had a tendency to tumble upon
Whoa, look at that. Yeah, they would tear someone apart, they would, wouldn't they?
entering the human body, and sometimes causing far more damage than dum-dums. The interesting thing is that hollow point ammunition is widely used by police forces in the USA because of its stopping power, along with the argument that restricting them would harm innocent bystanders.
Of course they would.
Nerve Agent VX. When it comes to being the most insane and deadly weapons of all time, VX or Venomous Agent X should be at the top of the list. Stockpiles of the stuff have been continually destroyed since the Chemical Weapons Convention of 1997 outlawed their use.
Is this the same stuff that's on Call of Duty? In the new one, where all the chemical weapons are everywhere?
Classified by the United Nations as a weapon of mass destruction and defined by the CDC as the most potent of all nerve agents, VX is an incredibly potent and rapid-acting poison that cripples the nervous system and causes total paralysis, and eventually, the victim suffocates. It is fatal after breathing in just 25 to 30 milligrams, or just 10 milligrams if it comes into contact with the skin.
That is disgusting. That is absolutely disgusting. I couldn't even imagine people using that. But people do use chemical weapons, so, you know, it's really sad. It is really, really sad.
In the body, it works rapidly by acting on a neurotransmitter called acetylcholine, which neurons rely on to send signals to muscles ordering them to move. Once the signals are sent, acetylcholine breaks down, ending the line of communication. VX prevents acetylcholine from breaking down, resulting in an overabundance of communication. The muscles get overstimulated, and the brain can no longer control the body's movements. Symptoms include blurred vision, drooling and sweating, rapid breathing, and irregular heart rate. It is when the muscles that guide the chest's rise and fall during breathing are affected that it becomes a major problem. And when
I felt so sorry for that old guy then. He was struggling.
they are paralyzed, breathing becomes impossible. And it all happens within minutes. No wonder this terrible weapon is outlawed.
Yep.
Hydrogen bomb.
Standard, right? I mean, let's be honest. We knew the nuke was going to be in this one.
The hydrogen bomb, or thermonuclear bomb, is more powerful than atomic or fission bombs like the ones that were used to devastate the Japanese cities of Nagasaki and Hiroshima during World War II. Those bombs exploded with a yield of 15 and 20 kilotons of TNT, respectively. In contrast, the first test of a hydrogen bomb in the United States happened in November 1952, which yielded an explosion of 10,000 kilotons of TNT, and by 1954, the United States detonated a bomb in nuclear test Castle Bravo, which had a yield of 15 megatons of TNT.
Wow.
2.5 times more than the predicted 6.0 megatons, which was the result of using lithium deuteride, resulting in a tritium bonus, where cascading neutrons transformed it into tritium and helium, and tritium causes extremely energetic fusion. At 6:45 a.m. local time on March 1st, 1954,
if one of them went off, like, they would be all out war. Like, obviously, America nuked Japan back in the day. Well, they sent an atomic bomb, I think. I don't really know the history of it. But if that happened, I think these days, like today, it would just be like... I mean, can 2020 get any worse? Let's be honest. I don't want to jinx it. The last thing I want is something like this to happen. Jeez, could you imagine? But it just seems like the world would just be pretty much coming to an end if one of these went off, because other countries would start getting involved, and before you know it, there wouldn't even be traditional warfare. You know, it'd just be nukes going off everywhere and innocents dying. It's really scary to think that people have these weapons and that people have the ability to just set them off whenever they want. It's so scary.
The device was detonated, and many observers knew something had gone spectacularly wrong in the first seconds. The flash from the bomb was so great that men saw their bones appear as shadows through their flesh, and streams of light shone through the smallest cracks and pinholes in secured doors and hatches. More than 30 miles away aboard Navy ships, sailors said the heat was like having a blowtorch aimed at their bodies. The shockwave was incredible, almost knocking observation aircraft from the sky. And then there was the fireball, stretching 4 miles in diameter and hotter than the surface of the sun.
Oh my god, a 4-mile firebomb.
It was the biggest explosion in history at the time.
Wow.
But later, the Soviet Union would drop something much bigger.
Why though?
Metal
Why do we
Storm.
need them? It's so like.
If a name ever fit a
Frustrating.
weapon perfectly, then it would be the Metal Storm. This thing is an Australian-made US-funded weapon and has 36 barrels put together in a box configuration that can...
Australian made, but US funded. Interesting. I wonder if it's a private company in Australia that the US military funded to get it done. That's interesting.
reportedly fire 1.62 million rounds per minute and
Wow.
fires 180 rounds in a 0.01 second burst. And at its peak, it can send a wall of 24,000 9mm rounds moving at Mach 5. The
I would hate to be the guy that has to carry the ammo for this. Could you imagine?
fastest mechanical weapons system can only spit out around 6,000 rounds per minute. But the
Only.
Metal Storm
Only.
ammunition cartridge is special and has no shell casing and no primer. In fact, the gun itself has no trigger hammer or breech block. The craziest thing is that the only moving part is the bullets, which are stacked up nose to tail in each barrel and are fired electronically one at a time from front to rear. Although it's really insane, the cost and the weight, not to mention the setup time for single use, keep the application of this weapon very circumstantial. Like,
Is this it? Why is it in like a cross? I wonder what the reason for that is. That's very strange.
when you need to shoot something 1 million times in just 60 seconds.
Oh, that must be it there. Interesting.
Plague bomb.
A plague bomb.
Located in Harbin, China, Unit 731 was created with legitimate intentions by the Japanese government to promote public health and conduct research that would benefit Japanese soldiers, including how long someone could survive hunger, thirst, and certain diseases. But as the war went on, the Japanese turned to using prisoners of war as test subjects, and at least 250,000 people perished at the hands of experimentation.
Isn't that unnecessary? Like, why? Why though? Why though?
The most terrible things you can imagine were done here. So terrible, we can't speak about them on this video. But one of the things they tested was releasing rats infected with bubonic plague with the intention of infecting the prisoners so they could be studied. This led to the plague bomb, and in China's eastern province of Xinjiang and central Hunan province from 1940 to 1942, rats were airdropped, and people who lived in these areas describes how people dropped like flies in hours or days, their bodies swollen and black. Luckily for the
disgusting.
United States, the
Imagine just being outside and a bunch of rats just hit the deck out of nowhere, and then people start dying within an hour. That would be very freaky. That would be very, very freaky.
Japanese surrender on September 2, 1945, stopped a plan for kamikaze pilots to attack San Diego with planes filled with plague-infected fleas.
Wow.
ANSEEK-3 laser weapon system.
Okay, the laser weapon system. I've heard quite a lot about this. I've heard quite a lot. This is something that's very intriguing. I feel like will be the norm at some point.
Thanks to some early science fiction stories, laser weapons have always fascinated many people. For a while, many people thought such weapons would be impossible to create, or would be powerful enough to do serious damage so that it could be used in warfare. But the future has arrived. The ANSEEK-3 laser weapon system, or more easily called the XN-1 Laws, is a directed energy laser weapon developed by the United States Navy. The first prototype was installed on the USS Ponce for testing in 2014, where it worked perfectly against low-end threats and took out a UAV and a simulated small boat attacker.
Wow.
Laws uses an infrared beam with a solid-state laser array, which can be tuned to destroy a target using 30,000 watts of power to...
This is very interesting of what the technology can happen with this, but it's also kind of scary because my thought is like, what happens if it passes through an object that you're trying to aim at? How far does it go? I have a lot of questions about this that are kind of worrying about like misfires and stuff. if that makes sense.
Fry sensors,
Can
burn
they
out
be hacked?
motors.
That's another thing. Can they be hacked as well? You know, because it is electronics. I know, obviously, the military have got the best ways to not be hacked, but still, everything's hackable pretty much these days.
Power to fry sensors, burn out motors, or detonate explosive materials such as rockets or bombs mounted on warplanes or helicopters. Neutron Bomb. Another weapon sounding like it's right out of a science fiction novel is the neutron bomb. It's also called an enhanced radiation warhead.
Was that Destiny then? Let's go back. Was that
The
Destiny?
neutron bomb. It's also called
What's the neutron bomb got to do with Destiny? But sure, it makes good visuals. I like it. I like Destiny. It's a good game.
an enhanced radiation warhead and is a specialized nuclear weapon that doesn't produce as large a blast as a conventional nuclear warhead and instead releases large amounts of lethal radiation. It's actually a small thermonuclear bomb with a few kilograms of plutonium or uranium ignited by a conventional explosive which creates a fission trigger to ignite a fusion explosion in a capsule containing several grams of deuterium tritium. Still with us? Good. This bomb might have only a 1 kiloton yield, but in a 1.2 mile radius, the fusion reaction would throw off a powerful wave of neutron and gamma radiation penetrating through armor, several feet of earth, and through living tissue.
That's scary. That radiation poisoning is like, to me, is one of the scariest ones because you don't see it. You don't see it happening. You don't know it's happening. You only feel the side effects after it. And that scares me. That scares me more than anything because, you know, you don't carry like a radiation detector with you, you know, like when you're out on the ground. So like stuff like that is freaky because you could just be fine and then go off home or go off back to the base, be covered in radiation, infect other people, or not infect, but, you know, pass on that radiation to other people. And yeah, things go downhill very quickly with that stuff.
Electromagnetic Railgun. A theoretical dream for ages, the railgun is unlike any other weapon used in warfare. It's faster, cheaper, and more lethal than a conventional type of gun or cannon. Conventional guns or cannons use an explosive propellant to send a projectile at its target, but the railgun uses a heavy solid slug that relies on its mass and velocity to do heavy damage. In a railgun, the two rails act like wires with a magnetic field circulating around each rail. It takes 2 minutes to charge the weapon and only a fraction of a second to fire. Upon impact, the slug projectile superheats, which results in a hypersonic spear of slag capable of penetrating armor, melting steel, and burning everything else in its path.
Wow.
Such a round could be designed to fragment before impact.
Wait, let's just go back a second. This thing's massive. Where are they possibly going to put one of them? That thing's way too big for a ship or anything like that. Or maybe it's not, but to me it looks absolutely massive. I don't know whether that could fit on something.
Path. Such a round could be designed to fragment before impact, showering its target with high-velocity molten metal. Compared with missiles that can cost from $500,000 to $1.5 million each, the railgun offers a much more economical means of engaging the enemy. Project Thor.
Project Thor.
This project has been looked at for many years, and the interesting thing is that the US military has looked at it again as recently as 2017. Also called Rods from God, Project Thor was supposed to be some kind of satellite or launcher vehicle that would be launched into orbit with 20-foot long by 1-foot diameter tungsten rods. It would then move over its intended target and launch its projectiles. Using kinetic energy, the tungsten rods could end up traveling at over Mach 10 with an explosive impact of 11.5 tons of TNT.
Is that a spaceship? So anything to do with space, it makes a lot of sense, but anything with the space industry takes so long. That's why SpaceX is doing so well right now, is because they're really fast at getting jobs done. But it takes so long to get anything tested and done that stuff like this seems unrealistic, because by the time the space technology is ready to go up in the air, the weapons may be outdated that are on it. It takes that long for things to get set up. So I don't know how much I believe this one.
It is said that the US has the technology to deploy this weapon at will, but the biggest drawback is the cost, and also the concern that non-tungsten components of the projectile would melt if exceeded Mach 10. Whatever the case is, Project Thor would certainly be a terrifying weapon.
Yeah.
That concludes our list of 10 insane military technologies.
Okay, let me get rid of that. So, yeah, a lot of them are very scary. I don't think a lot of them will actually become the norm. The railgun, I'm not too sure, and that last space one, I'm not too sure. But the laser weapon, obviously, it's already been tested. That thing has potential to be a game changer, but also a bit of a worry because what are the implications if it goes wrong? That's my questions. Obviously, I'm like that's way above my level of education. I'm sure there is some incredibly smart people going over that and figuring it out. Also, that box that shoots like millions of rounds a minute, that's all well and good, but the thing is with shooting is, like I've gone over in games and stuff like that I've played, is it's not so much how many rounds you can get off in 1 minute, it's how accurate they are. And with accuracy comes small bursts and stuff like that. So obviously this box is controlled by a computer, so things are a little bit different and the computer could potentially lock onto something, etc. But I don't know, shooting that many rounds so quick, where's all the ammo going to be stored? Who's going to load the ammo? How long is it going to take to set this weapon up? A lot of questions with that one. But again, an interesting video. Really did enjoy it. If you enjoyed this video, please press the like button and subscribe. And before you all head off, as per usual, shout out to all these amazing people. You're amazing. Thank you guys. I appreciate all my members. And also, don't forget, I have changed my handles on Twitter, on Instagram, at originalhuman_. Go and check them out. Go and give me a follow. I got some really cool stuff on there. And yeah, down there you'll find a link to all my usual social media, especially Twitch, which is the big one right now because I'm going to be streaming 3 days a week, and it's been really fun so far. And yet we still haven't won in Warzone. Don't know why, but we will soon. We'll get the win. Okay, thank you everyone. Have a wonderful day. Stay safe. Goodbye.